Good morning, everybody. My name is Jacobus. I would like to first thank you for your service to the JNC, as well as taking the time to conduct these interviews. I was raised in Brevard County. I actually grew up across the street from my husband, and I have 2 children that attend Brevard County Public Schools. In 2018, I successfully ran for county court judge. In my race, there were 2 opponents, and I won in the primary election. In July of 2020, I was appointed administrative county court judge, and I continue to serve in that capacity in my 2nd term. I currently sit on the criminal bench. My judicial philosophy is to always be prepared, treat people with respect, follow the law, and make a decision. I stand before you today asking for the opportunity to serve Brevard County as a circuit judge. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice, brief, and to the point.
Yes.
So, Judge, I did your vetting, and I spoke with probably 35 people. All of the judges, circuit judges, mostly, were basically, their feedback was that you have exceeded expectations and that you were just doing a phenomenal job managing the document. The only negative feedback was that you moved too quickly through cases. Speak too quickly.
Yes.
You've probably heard that.
Yes.
But even people at the clerk's office, very good feedback. You arrive early, stay late. So I wanted to make sure that you received that feedback.
Thank you so much.
And being familiar with kind of the layout of the circuit bench, you're probably aware this is likely going to be a family seat.
Yes.
Most of your experience has been in criminal.
Yes.
Why should that not concern the governor, as well as the JNC, that you don't have a lot of family experience?
And I understand the concern. In county court, you go between 2 divisions. You go between a criminal division and a civil division. In circuit, you rotate every year. So at some point in time in your judicial career as a circuit judge, you are going to be in a division of law which you are not familiar with. The one advantage that I have is that I know how to be a judge. I know how to run a docket. I have my colleagues in the courthouse who I can go to and ask these questions to. I understand that it is a concern, however, any division that I go into other than criminal, I'm going to have to learn that area of law. But I do know the fundamentals, rules of evidence, and civil procedure, so I think that's an advantage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bell.
Hi.
Good morning. Thank you for your opening. That was very brief. So I'd like to just expand a bit with you. Talk about going to your colleagues. Is there any circuit judge that you want to emulate or that you look to, and why?
I think probably for this position, and I apologize, I'm a little nervous and I'm not used to being nervous. I'm not used to standing, so I apologize for being a little bit nervous. I would probably say Judge Taylor. And the reason being is that Judge Taylor has a fantastic demeanor on the family bench as well as, overall, as well as the dependency bench. She has a way to command respect, however, give her rulings in a way that's respectful in an area of law that can involve a lot of emotion. So I would say Taylor.
Mr. Gert.
Nerds are good.
Okay, good.
I read your writing sample. I'm a little concerned. I've heard wonderful things about you, as did everyone else, because just about everyone has overlapping references. But are you in good practice, right? Because this division may require a lot more detailed, complex writing than the writing sample you provide.
And it's a very valid point, and it is, I wouldn't say it's a concern. When you're in county criminal court, I do my best to hold the bench. So I don't have an opportunity to do those writing samples. And I know with the family docket that there is going to be the learning curve of writing judgments that are legally sufficient with findings of fact. Fortunately for me, I do have resources to aid me. I did well with writing previously before I became a lawyer as well as a judge, and I am out of practice, one would say. But I have the courthouse as well as other orders that other judges have written that I can take guidance from, and I can learn through my course of being a circuit judge. Thank you.
Mr. Valentin.
Good morning, Judge. Thank you for coming in for the interview and submitting your application. As a follow-up to your answer to Mr. Pickett's question about your familiarity with the civil rules of procedure, what's your familiarity with discovery issues and disputes in the non-criminal setting?
My familiarity, little, to be quite honest. I have it through my practice. When I was in private practice, I did mainly focus on criminal law, but I was in a firm that did a lot of personal injury and civil litigation. I'm also exposed to a lot of, and this, I don't know if this lends itself to this, but just to be candid with the panel, I'm also exposed to a lot of conversations amongst the judges about these kind of issues. So I have a starting point, should I be placed in a division where it is a civil division, in where to start the process of trying to learn this information essentially. I have the basics down, but I'm not exceedingly familiar with it. But again, I work hard, I'm prepared, I always go to court being prepared, and knowing the basics of what it is to be a judge and what that entails. I feel that gives me advantage, and it lends itself that office time and that after hours time to be able to learn this information and be able to use it on the bench.
Thank you.
Mr. Dowd.
Thank you. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
I don't think we've ever met before.
I don't think so.
From Seminole County. I know you've been a county judge about 3 years now?
Yes, sir.
Why do you want to be a circuit judge?
I practice in circuit court, and actually going back, I wanted to be a judge since I was little. And I've told this story, I think, several times, so most of you have probably heard it at some point in my campaign speech. But I wanted to be a judge since I was 6 years old. And I've kind of set out my career in order to obtain those goals. I did not want to run for judge until after I had children, which I intentionally did. My husband ran for judge in 2016 and was not successful. And we learned a lot from that campaign. So I wanted to make sure when I did run that it was a spot that was appropriate for me, and that it was a spot that I would be able to give the time and money towards it in order to succeed. I made the relationship with people, I attended events, and I took the guidance from the county. And there were actually a time or two where they said, you know what, this isn't your time, but if you wait, it will be. I believe that luck is when opportunity and preparation meet. I believe that you prepare until the opportunity presents itself, and I did that. I wanted to be a county court judge first for 2 reasons. The first being, at the time that I ran, I did have 2 small children. I wanted to learn the campaign process on a 1-county run. Brevard County is an exceedingly big county. I don't think people realize that. It's very long. Add that with Seminole and jurisdictionally, it's just a lot of work. So I wanted to have a county seat first. And I also wanted to learn how to be a judge on a county level. And so I find that at this point in time, I'm 3 years in, I hadn't expected that there was going to be an open seat now, as oftentimes you don't, but I feel that I've learned from the county court seat enough to be able to enter a circuit division, albeit one that I'm not familiar with that area of law, but I feel that I'm prepared for it at this time.
Do you have aspiration to be on the circuit court?
On circuit court?
Fifth DCA?
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
It's gonna be the 6th DCA now.
It is. That's true. I just read that.
Sorry.
Yes. I don't know. I have children, small children. I like being in Brevard County at this point in time. Not small, they're getting older. But for now, I like to remain in Brevard County. Although, 15 years. I'm sorry?
You can anyway. You don't have to move.
No,
Well,
that's-
I don't like driving that much, but But I do have higher aspirations, but I think circuit court for now is where I want to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning, Judge
Good morning.
Jacobus. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm gonna echo Mr. Pick and everybody else. Everybody I spoke to says great things. They all think you're prepared to be a circuit court judge. So this is kind of a follow on what your daddy said. You mentioned it. Why do you feel that you're ready to be a circuit court judge?
There's a big learning curve when you come into being a judge, from being an attorney to a judge. There's courtroom management, there's docket management, there's dealing with attorneys. For me, I've always practiced in Brevard County. So there's people that you're friends with that come before you and you're going to rule against them. And you have to get comfortable with that. You have to be comfortable with the ability to make a decision, because I personally think that's the most valuable aspect of being of quality of a judge, is to be able to follow the law and make a decision. And you have to kind of get the rhythm of that. It's very different being a judge than it is being a lawyer. It also lends itself to your personal life because you are in a fishbowl, and it's just, there's a learning curve along with that. And I think after 3 years, I think that I've kind of gone through every scenario legally that has come before me. I've kind of gone through the gamut of the individuals that are before me, whether they be individuals that are pro se or have different people that I've been exposed to a lot of different types of people, meaning the litigants that come in front of you as well as the attorneys. So I feel that after 3 years that I've had that, I've also, again, and I think that this is important, I built the relationship with your colleagues. Because when I first took the bench, there were times when I didn't have the answer. So I would step off and I would go find a judge to guide me on that. I'd find a senior judge. And when you're a new judge, it's like being a new lawyer. Like, you don't want to bother people, you don't want to step in. And I've now gone past that. So I have that ability to come in and say, hey, you know what, I don't know what's going on here, can you help me? So I think after those 3 years that I'm in that position, and I think our family's ready. We've had this discussion with our family because circuit is a lot more work than county. It's a lot more work. And my family's in a position that we're ready for me, if given the opportunity to undertake this. Thank you.
Mr. Baer?
Morning.
Morning.
You were asked a little bit ago about moving from county to circuit, and I think your answer was approximately, well, you practice in circuit, so that's where you wanted to be. I wanted to sort of flesh that out a little bit. So, I mean, you said a couple negative things. You just said it's more work. You know, if you run for it, you have to run across 2 counties.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than that's where you were before, what is it about being in circuit court that is drawing you to try to make this change, which has more obstacles associated with it too?
I like the aspect of being exposed to different areas of law. I like the aspect of the more challenging cases that come before you, different experience levels of attorneys. And I don't say that with any disrespect to the younger attorneys that are before me. There are fantastic attorneys that are before me. I'm not saying that. County court is a people's court, and that's one thing that I love about it. I love the fact that you have those conversations with the individuals that come before you. But in addition, county court is docket zonings, it's arraignments, it's a lot of repetitiveness, and I'm not saying that in a negative manner, that's just what it is. And so to be able to be in a circuit position, and I've always felt a need to serve Brevard County. I enjoy that. It's not that I'm just saying that this is something that I like to do. I enjoy serving this county that I grew up in. And I think to be able to serve on the circuit level would be an awesome opportunity. But I like the challenge. I think the challenge is, I don't think that that's a negative. I think that's something that's very exciting to me. So I think it's the challenge, and hopefully after having some time on the bench, it won't be a challenge, but it'll be just.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Ms.
Good
Nedick?
morning.
Good morning.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I, like the rest of the members, received a lot of tremendous feedback on you. And one comment that resonated with me is that being a county judge and it being the people's court, that you are the people's judge. You're really good at pro se litigants and dealing with the issues that come before you as a county judge. So my question to you is, would you miss that? Because it is such a big difference going to circuit and it not being the people's court. And has that prepared you for becoming a circuit judge if you were selected?
I would miss county court, but the advantage of being a circuit judge is that you can always offer to cover county court. But I would miss that because it's a different, I mean, it's a different court, it's not a great answer, but I mean, it's a different court and it's a different way that you deal with the people in front of you. And so I would miss that. And also in county court, you have a lot of the same people that come in. So you kind of build these, it's strange to say, but you build these relationships with people. And I know when people come in, I know, last time you were in court, this happened or that happened. And also the attorneys that are before me, that's one thing that I will miss, is the attorneys that come in that are very new, and I get to see them grow into fantastic litigators. And to see them build the relationships between, prosecutors with defense attorneys, and to see that growth, that is one thing that I would miss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So during your time as a county court judge, what has been your biggest struggle?
Talking too fast?
Outside of that one.
My biggest struggle, it's a struggle, but I've gotten better at it, if that's a good idea. Deciding for the bench. Early on, and I think that I included this in my application, is that I had a case in which I made the wrong decision. And I walked off the bench, and when I made the decision, I thought that I was wrong, but I wasn't sure. When I got off, I knew that I was. And I didn't know what to do. And so I found the guidance of other judges and things like that. And I was able to say, okay, you know what, I was wrong, and I reset it. And in fact, I was such a new judge, I didn't know that the judge could set a hearing on a case that they're not involved in, but I did. And I reset it, and the defense attorney was gracious, and she was respectful when I told her that I was wrong, and I was. And for me, it was a fantastic experience because it taught me that, you know, when you make a decision, one, be sure and be correct, but also it gave me the confidence because after that, when I made decisions and I knew they were right, I knew that. I knew in my gut that they were right. So I think that also challenges in county court is I instituted a dress code in my courtroom. And I say this as a challenge because when people come in, I really think that one thing that needs to improve is the respect for the court, and that's an overall respect. Most people that come before my court are very respectful, but some people come in and they're in slippers and things like that. And you know, at first it was challenging for me because I didn't know how to address it without being rude. But people were very respectful, and I learned how to do it from a position of being the judge, sitting at the bench, and being respectful and asking these people to please have respect for the court. And I've had great reception from that. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. I really appreciate your authenticity. Thank you.
Any closing remarks?
I'd like to thank you for your time today. I do feel that my experience as a prosecutor, a defense attorney, as a judge, as an administrative county court judge, my docket management at this point in time, I do have the lowest criminal court docket. I am efficient. I'm on time. I'm always prepared. Every time I hope that it was stated that when attorneys come before me, I'm always prepared. I read all the case law, and I just hope that that my previous experience will lend itself to the confidence of having me an opportunity to be a circuit court judge. So I'd just like to thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.